viewers, welcome back. So right now, all the way from Canada, I have Professor Pius Adesanmi. He's a professor of English and African Studies at Carleton University in Canada. He's also a passionate Nigerian, so the elections and everything that has been going on in Nigeria is something he's really, really passionate about. And we have him with us today to talk about Nigeria. Welcome to our show, Professor Pius Adesanmi.
Thank you for having me. It's always a pleasure.
Yes.
For you guys at Sahara Reporters.
Thank you, and thank you. You're also a contributor to our website. I just read one of your articles we discussed on your all the people and their rights, fighting for different rights in Canada.
Yeah, and I was telling you that many readers, contacted me, a good number of them from Nigeria, and said how they wished that we had the luxury of worrying about animal rights in Nigeria. They'd rather want to do that than have to deal with human rights abuses. It's sad, but hopefully things will change. We have a new president-elect. What do you think about General Buhari as president of Nigeria? I expect only one thing from him. I think he's, I was part of the crowd harping on the integrity thing, the integrity thing about him. And, I think he's got that. He's got that capital, that personal capital in, personal integrity and all that. And if you look at Nigeria, unless, everything that can be wrong with that country is wrong, fundamentally wrong. It's a fundamentally, I don't want to use the F word, but it's a fundamentally F word society and state. And people always ask, where do we even start? Where do we start? And every time, I go home a lot. And you see the rot which permeates every segment of our life as a body politic, and you start wondering, it's just a conundrum. Where do we start? Where you start is integrity. Where does that integrity start? It should start from the persona, the person of the man at the top, the man at the very top. Because if he sets that example in terms of style, in terms of content of character, in terms of conduct, in terms of very clear ethical and moral directions where he wants to go, then a lot of other things would start to fall into place. If he's not wasteful, for instance. If he looks at Aso Rock, the villa, and says, I don't need $1 billion to feed here every year. Let's start with 200 million. Let's see if we can work with 200 million. And that 200, I'm still even exaggerating where I stand. As far as I'm concerned, they don't even need 200 million. But let's cut this thing from $1 billion to 200 million. If you see him doing it, and it's working, then who are you in Parliament, at the National Assembly, to be wasteful? Who are you in the ministries and parastatals to be wasteful? So that's how it goes. If you see him demystifying power, because our society suffers from something I've always written about, the arrogance of power. Power is too far away from the people. And the distance is not even a distance in terms of, I don't even know what my mathematics looks like. Is it linear when you're talking like this? Is it linear? Or which one is vertical now?
Vertical is from top to bottom.
Okay. So the distance is vertical. So they are so up there, and the people are so bring it close to them, demystify this thing, so integrity is all I ask for.
Okay.
But if he succeeds in doing that, a lot of other things will start to fall into place. Which does not mean that he has a magic wand. That's not what I'm saying by any means. But I expect his integrity to count for something.
Okay, and we all hope that things will fall into place in Nigeria. Now, the APC government was a 16-year government. No, the PDP rather. The PDP was a 16-year government in Nigeria. Now, should the APC party be rejoicing? Because you refer to yourself as an APC sympathizer. Should they be rejoicing for this win over PDP, or should they be wary of PDP? Do you think PDP can stage a comeback?
There's no cause. There's no cause to rejoice at all. Nothing about Nigeria suggests rejoicing, as far as I'm concerned. You know, things are really bad. And in fact, those folks in the APC, they need to be very careful.
Right.
They need to be very careful. Because right now, as we speak, I was joking on social media the other day because I heard that Adesanmi was saying that they're now preparing for 2019. The PDP is now preparing for 2019. And I said, that's actually a good thing. Yeah. I endorse that. I like that. I like when a political party takes Nigerians seriously. When they take Nigeria seriously and they start to do this paid work right from the get-go. They start preparations right from the get-go. Yeah. You don't wait until 2-3 months to an election, which is what these guys do, because they can take us for granted, and then you begin to prepare. But then I added, well, maybe it's Adesanmi and the 4 people who are left with him in the PDP. Because as things stand, and it just shows you the lack of integrity in that country, the lack of integrity, the lack of ethics, the lack of any recognizable moral fabric. Right. It's less than 2 weeks and the PDP is empty. All these guys are crossing over in droves. They are going to APC. So these APC guys, they've got to be very careful. Yeah. Because you know, they rode to this victory. I'm not sure they are aware of this. Yeah. They rode to this victory, you know, on the wings of popular anger, popular discontent. Yes. A great deal of what happened was that people actually voted out. People voted out incompetence. Yes. People voted out mediocrity. So people were actually punishing the incumbent. Right. So you don't come in and everybody who was part of that rot is now migrating to you. I mean, it's so they have to be. They have nothing to be careful about. As well. They have a PDP refugee problem. They have PDP refugee problem. If they don't handle it carefully, it's going to be their undoing. I have told them, you know, you guys, there's something called UNCHR, the United Nations High Commission for Refugees. If you don't know how to handle these PDP refugees, you better go and check with the UNCHR, because this is a very serious problem. Now we don't even know the difference. Right. Okay. And you haven't even started. Yes. Nobody's prepared to tolerate that. Yeah. None of the collective children of anger who fought for this thing is going to take it from APC. And they'd better know that. Yeah. Well, with a statement like that from Adesanmi, I just personally feel it will keep APC on their toes. If Adesanmi is saying they are already preparing for 2019. The problem now is that there's nobody left in PDP to keep APC on their toes. There are only 5 of them left. Adesanmi himself. Because these guys just have no integrity. Let's wait and see what Adesanmi says next week. Okay, let's wait and see. So what? Before you know it, he'll join Labara Maku and Ahmed Gulak and going to pay a courtesy call to General Abubakar. Yeah. Okay. Let's take it one day at a time. So what do you think about the upcoming gubernatorial elections? What states do you think we should focus on? I think there's a problem with that because people are too fixated on Lagos and Rivers. People are over-fixated on Lagos and Rivers. and it worries me because there are so many other states that are infinitely in a much more terrible shape, if you wish, than Lagos and Rivers. And you have guys who are from those states, they aren't even paying attention to what's going on in their states. Everybody is fixated. Admittedly, the recent events in Lagos, you know, unfortunate as they are, they didn't help matters. Yeah. But I think guys should, you know, I'm happy about what's going on. I'm happy people are. I'm watching some races carefully. I'm watching Kaduna. My state is not in contention.
What state are you from?
I'm from Kogi State.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm watching some states very carefully. I'm watching Lagos. I'm watching Kaduna. I'm interested in what happens to our friend in Adamawa,
Ribadu. Yeah.
And I think that guy is still going to go back to APC, by the way.
Okay, if that happens, we'll say Professor Pius Adesanmi said that.
I think he's going. Even if he wins, if he wins, I think he's going to find a way to port and go back and go back to APC.
Yeah, but let's talk about Lagos, because everybody is quite focused on Lagos right now. Who do you think has the upper hand?
Quite frankly, I really don't know. I really don't know. You know why I don't know?
Why?
Of course, one would be tempted to say APC because, Lagos has always been APC territory.
Yeah.
All that. But look at the numbers. Look at the numbers in the presidential election. APC, I mean, it was scary because they won by less than 200,000 votes. Because what has happened is that the president and his
team. Yes.
They've saturated Lagos with dollars. They've pumped so much money.
Yeah.
They've pumped so much money into Lagos.
Yeah.
And now that they have lost the center, I think, and this is just my personal scenario, something that's going on in my head. I think they wouldn't want. I think they would want to compensate by having Lagos and Rivers if they could.
Right.
I think they would want to do that. So I honestly don't know, and the Oba hasn't helped matters.
Exactly. I was going to ask you about the Oba's comment. What do you make of that comment?
Of course, I did issue that statement, by the way, and I condemned it. It's to, I can't stand for anything like that, So it's quite unfortunate, It's quite unfortunate, and I don't like the fact that people seem to be suggesting that we ought to understand where he was coming from. Where he was coming from, contexts, circumstances, and all that. No, when somebody brings in the metaphor of the lagoon and tradition and killing, and there is no context. There is nothing to understand.
Right.
Don't tell me that there could be any justification for it.
Yeah.
If you want us to debate other issues in terms of conflictual relationships between the Yoruba owners of Lagos and their guests, some of whom have been very, very provocative, quite provocative. There's a history of provocation, provocative statements. I'm aware of that. So if you want us to engage that, that's a totally different issue. That's a different matter. But I don't want to mix both because there's no way of mixing them without appearing to say that there's a justification for what the Oba said. There is no ifs, there is no buts. He shouldn't have said that,
Okay, so because of our time, we have to round up. But I just want to ask, Jega has been praised for how he conducted the federal elections. Do you think he can handle elections on a local level the same way?
Yeah, I think so. I think he's.
So you think INEC is capable of handling these elections?
Yeah, I think they can do it. I think because quite frankly, let's be honest, I didn't think that they would. Never mind that they had 4 years. Or he's had more than 4 years, right?
Yeah.
He's had more than 4 years, but I think that what I'm seeing now is that each election he has conducted, it's still nothing close to what I would expect things to be. But I think some of us we've stayed too long here.
Yeah.
We tend to get impatient and forget that all things are not equal. Right? You still have to do some things with kerosene lantern, with Atupa kerosene lanterns and stuff like that, count votes. Still have to rely on NEPA and disco and all, to get your, So, but even with all that, I think that every election he's conducted, he's made some progress.
Right. Right.
And the guy personally, you know, I can relate it to what I said earlier on about General Buhari. The guy has a great deal of personal integrity.
Right.
So if that things, if you have it as an actor in the system, then it just flows from you.
Yeah.
Into this. So I'm confident. I'm confident about him. I have no problem at all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor Pius Adesanmi. It was a pleasure speaking with you. And that was Professor Pius, Professor of English and African Studies at Carleton University in Canada. Stick around, viewers. We have a great show lined up for you.